Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us over your lunch hour today for our virtual business, sorry, one second here, for virtual business growth luncheon in sponsorship with EDR and NSBA. My name is Stephanie Smith, WESC's program coordinator. We want to give a big shout out to today's webinar sponsor, Peter Lucas Project Management. Our topic today is Coming Together When We're Apart and is presented by Keira Sawatzky and Leah Lagacy of Peter Lucas Project Management. If you have any questions for them as we go through the presentation, feel free to type them in the Q&A box. This is different than the regular chat box, and you should be able to see it just on the bottom of your screen there. You can feel free to use the regular chat box to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business if you'd like. And as always, this webinar is being recorded and will be available for on-demand viewing. You will receive an email tomorrow at this time with a link to the recording. And with that, I will pass it over to Keira and Leah now to begin the presentation.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Hello.
Hello. As Stephanie mentioned, we're going to be talking today about coming together when we're apart, employee engagement in 2022.
As soon as I figure out how to share my screen again. Oh, there we go. There we go. Is that working correctly?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
You can see my screen perfectly. Okay, so we're thankful to be here. I'm really excited to come out and talk to everybody. I want to start with just a little bit of an icebreaker and hoping that we want to give a shout out to all of those companies out there that are interested in engaging more with their staff. And so definitely drop your company name or your area of expertise into the chat so we can see who is all here today.
Is the chat function working? Is anybody at all?
Someone type something so we know it's working.
Well, maybe people will feel brave enough to join the chat and tell us. There we go. Hi, Caitlin. Thanks for joining from the agriculture industry. The chat is working. Everyone just seems shy.
All right, well, we're going to use that more later. So everybody find where your chat box is now, because it will be important later. All right, to kick things off, we'd like to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 6 territory. Treaties are representative of the relationship that Canadian settlers have with First Nations peoples and the land that we all come from. And we want to pay our respects to the Cree, Nakota, Saulteaux, and Métis ancestors and reaffirm our relationship with them in the spirit of truth and reconciliation.
Thanks, Leah, for the land acknowledgement. And obviously everything should be kicked off with a safety moment. This is for your heavy equipment operators out there. Just kidding, it's for everyone, anyone who drives, anyone who rides in a vehicle. Safety moment that we're talking about today is near and dear to my heart. It is what to do if you ever hit a power line with your car. Now, it's not near and dear to my heart because I've hit a power line with my car, but because I'm an electrical engineer by training. So what do you do if you hit a power pole and the line is down with your car? The biggest takeaway, this is your number one, this should be the main thing you keep in mind, is stay in your car. You are safest in your car, not touching the ground until you know that that line is deactivated. Now, sometimes it's not safe to stay in your car. If it's not safe to stay in your car, how do you leave your car? So say your car is on fire, something like that, you have to exit your car. What do you do? Well, first you kind of want to know what the situation looks like. So even though the danger is invisible, you can't see power from the point of contact as the power dissipates into the ground. It's like rings like a bullseye, getting less and less power, less zap factor the farther you go out. And so as you can see, our little stick figure here is crossing two different rings, two different power levels. And so he's completing the circuit. So just like when you're walking on carpet and you touch a light switch and it goes zap through you from the carpet to the light switch, this is going from one foot to the other. But instead of it being a static charge, it's the amount that's in the power line. So what you want to do is make sure that you're not completing the circuit. So if you do need to exit your car, maybe it's on fire, whatever the case may be, the first thing you want to do is get as far from your car as possible in one hop without falling over. Because if you fall over and your hands and feet are on the ground, all of you becomes the loop, and that is really the worst case scenario. So what you want to do is hop 2 feet together away from your car. And then if you can safely continue to hop, 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 or shuffle step. But what you want to do is make sure that your feet are staying in contact, because if you have one point of contact, you can't complete the circuit. And so also do not touch the ground and your car. You want to hop away from your car all in one motion. So that is how to safely exit your car. But plan A is just don't hit a power pole.
Thanks, Keira. And to wrap up our good housekeeping before we get started, we want to talk about our advantage. Peter Lucas is a diverse team. We have a lot of different backgrounds, cultures, perspectives, and approaches to work. And this diversity really allows us to increase our decision-making capacity, our individual engagement, and our overall project effectiveness. And we are really proud that we develop teams both internally and externally that provide safe, supportive, and empowering work environments for everybody. Okay, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of our presentation now, and I'll start by introducing my counterpart for today. Keira loves to work as part of a team. And when she first started with Peter Lucas out at a client mine site, she wasn't quite sure how she would fit in and feel like part of that Peter Lucas team. And so, since she wouldn't be working with them on a day-to-day basis, so through employee engagement and activities through head office and the feedback provided back to the leadership team, she actually built out the team at her client site and now is working with us over on the leadership team, where she uses her field experience to better improve employee engagement.
And my lovely co-presenter, Leah Lagacy, is a career problem solver with over 20 years experience in event planning, public engagement, administration, and facilitation. As the employee experience manager for Peter Lucas, she has taken on the challenge of fostering a culture of community to a distributed workforce during a global pandemic. She is excited about the growing Peter Lucas leadership team and how we're working together on strategies to enhance engagement at work and the overall employee experience. So that's who we are as people, but who we are as Peter Lucas is, so we're Peter Lucas Project Management. We're a project services team based out of Saskatoon, and we provide people to help projects. So if that's schedulers, project controllers, project admin, project managers. Right now, our main bread and butter is the mining industry in Saskatchewan, but we are spilling out of that industry and out of Saskatchewan. So if you have project management needs, give us a shout so we can help you out. That rhymed, it wasn't intentional. So what we're going to talk about today is why are people just so needy? How we got started, how we're learning and growing, and then we're going to finish off with a fun activity for inspiration. So if you want to, you can still introduce yourself in the chat box. just because we're going to need the chat box a little bit later. So make sure you're sending it to everybody so that we can all see it when we start with our activity at the very end.
Great, thanks,
Leah,
Keira.
why are we so needy?
We are needy. We are very needy. I'm needy. You're needy. We all have a lot of needs. As indicated here by the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there's a lot of different level of needs, and engagement is about meeting the needs of your employees and creating an environment where they feel that they're able to have those needs met. So everybody has the same basic needs. However, it takes a little something different. Everybody's got a different recipe to help them reach those self-actualization needs. And so you really need to dig in and learn about that person's individual work appropriate love language, if you will. So how we find out that information is through talking to your people, is what it really boils down to. You want to have some really great conversations. We've all had, I'm sure everybody's had an experience at one time or another with an engagement survey. Surveys are really great ways to start that conversation. What you really want to be doing is pay attention to what kinds of questions you're asking, both in your surveys and in one-on-one conversations. And what information are you trying to draw out by asking those questions? Are you learning what your employees' values are? What makes them tick? What are their individual strengths that really make them succeed, and what motivates them and makes them want to succeed for you? One of my favorite questions that we're asking our employees right now is for them to tell us about a time that they really feel recognized for work that they do. And we dig in and we keep asking why, so that we can draw down to the root of what makes them tick. And what we get out of that is we find out what they're proud of. It gives us a really good indication as to what their strengths are, but we find out how they like to be spoken to when they have a job, when there's job well done, whether they like that public recognition, or if they like something a little bit more private and personal. Maybe there's a token or rewards attached to it, but finding out what makes them tick can help you keep them ticking. And so you not only need to listen to what they're saying, but pay attention to what you're doing to acknowledge what they're saying and really address and put what they're saying into action.
So how we started in the before times. As Leah mentioned, we are a distributed workforce. Most of our employees, we've got about 50 of us now, Leah?
I think 51 this morning, or 51 this week.
52 this morning.
52. Oh yes, 52.
Yep. We're distributed. So most of our people are embedded at client sites doing secondment roles. And so it's hard to feel like part of that central team. That was what I was worried about when I first started. And this was even in the before times. This is just how it's always been. We've never really been all under one roof. And so we needed to figure out how we could feel like a cohesive team. And one of the big things that we did a lot of in the before times were these social and or training lunches where we'd bring the whole team into the office on a Friday afternoon, feed them lunch, maybe have a talk, maybe not. Sometimes it's just hang out, have lunch, get to know each other. But the way that we did that, the way that we figured out that we should be doing that was that we held a co-design event. And so that's what the pictures here are showing, is we got everybody together and we did crafts. We did creative activities. You can see we were making cartoons. And what we were trying to do was flesh out what is important to our people, what they need, what they want. And so what we figured out at that co-design event was what benefits were important to our people, what our mission was. We developed our corporate personality. We figured out that people were wanting to connect. They were wanting things like mentorship programs and social lunches and volunteer opportunities and community engagement and involvement. And so we got these answers by doing activities, because if you just bring everybody together and say, okay, what do you want? What do you need out of work? They're gonna say, like, I guess I want to get paid. I want to enjoy my work. I want to work in maybe a respectful environment, stuff like that. But that doesn't get to the depth of the needs. To really flesh out what people need, what they want, what's important to them, you've got to do activities that activate the right and left brain to get the actual deep answers, not just the top of the mind answers, to dig deeper, 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 to figure out what is truly important to people. And so from that co-design event, we started doing those social lunches, training lunches. We also now have an employee experience manager, but engagement really doesn't just fall on Leah. It's a collaborative effort. It's that attitude of collaboration that everybody feels like this was everybody's idea to do these engagement activities. And so people are more engaged because they got to help come up with the ideas and help run them and help kick them off. And that's been really, really good. But that was the before times. And then everything changed.
Everything did change. And so we got, like Keira was saying, we are a distributed workforce. We're spread out all over the place, but we figured out that we still craved and needed that social interaction. And if you think back to those first couple of weeks of when the world shut down for the pandemic, I know everybody's tired of thinking about that, but those first couple weeks where we were all a little bit scared, we were all isolated, and think of how you felt away from your friends, your families, your coworkers, how you were familiar with conducting your job and working with the people around you. There was a period of time in the beginning where everybody mistook physical distancing for social distancing. And there was in a lot of cases, there was people recovered and they realized that, no, we still need that social interaction. And so they, jumped on Teams, and there was a lot of really good tech that came out during that time for enabling employees to be engaged. But the companies that didn't make that connection, that social need wasn't being met, really, really suffered. Luckily, we were not one of those companies. Everybody suffered for a little bit, but like a cat, we were kind of quick to land on our feet and pivot and change the way that we were doing things. So it didn't have to change the way that we did things as much as it seemed. It wasn't as scary. So like I said, we used technology, we all adapted, we got really creative. Creativity was kind of the pivotal point of all of this, was trying to think outside the box and how to remain a team when we couldn't physically be together. And so, everybody used Teams or Zoom or whatever platform of their choice was. I heard a lot about, trivia nights and stuff like that. We got involved with a program that links all of our fitness devices together, and we started running different kinds of challenges. We now have an annual summer and winter Peter Lucas Olympics that we participate in, and there's a chat function in there. Everybody's posting pictures, and it really created a great way for us to still not only stay in touch, but get to know each other on a personal level. Like we can see, Keira's out hanging out with her daughter or going out for walks and stuff like that. And so we get to know everybody on a little bit more of a personal level, which is very important for fostering relationships. Last year, we had our first Pride Bingo, which was kind of a tricky project for us to work on, because in the summertime it was, you know, 1 minute it was we could have you know, we went from not being able to be around each other at all to then we could have 4 people at a table, but then maybe you can't eat at the same time. And, you know, there was just all of these rules that were changing all of the time, as I'm sure you're all familiar. But it was being able to be reactive and responsive to all of that, and keeping a focus that the purpose of these interactions is engagement, and not all of the big rules surrounding that.
So the world has changed now. And now that things are kind of starting to move forward with that in mind, our real goal is to make it better as we move forward. We've made a lot of progress in how we connect, especially when we're apart. And we don't want to lose that progress. We want to enhance the progress we've made as people start coming back together and not leaving people behind. So the accommodations made for everybody during COVID were really, really beneficial to people with disabilities, people with family commitments that they need to be working from a certain location, or even as we're moving forward and people are getting back together, there's going to be people who just aren't ready to get back together again. And so really what we want to do is we want to not lose those benefits as we move forward. And so what you want to consider, what we've really been considering, is how you can continue to accommodate moving forward. And part of that is making people feel safe to say, I'm not ready, or even just offering a deviation from the same activity. So if you're having a live event, but you want to make it a hybrid event, make it a hybrid event by default so that people don't have to ask, oh, can I still attend even if I'm not ready, even if I can't make it, even if the venue isn't accessible, whatever the case may be, whatever the reason that someone may not want to be physically present or may not be able to be physically present, making that available by default, by offer, and easy. So as you see in this picture, we've started having a few in-person events again, but we've been by default hosting them as hybrid events. And so the way that we make this work, and we're learning, we're growing. This was one of our first ones. So we have what we call a virtual host who supports the hybrid event. Is someone who is physically present at the live event, but they are responsible for including the people who are attending virtually. So maybe they're making sure that the camera's pointed in the right direction, that they're describing things that you can't see, introducing voices that you hear off screen, and sharing if there is someone who is contributing in the chat, reading it out so that the people who are in live attendance are involved with the people in the chat as well, so that they really feel connected. Kind of like if you see, like in a movie, if there's an auction event and there's the line of people on the phone who are participating live in the auction on behalf of the person who's on the phone. And it's that same kind of idea. And part of it is really getting that feedback. So we had our first live event and we said, okay, what worked, what didn't work? How can we make sure that people who aren't ready to come back, don't feel comfortable gathering, can feel comfortable either attending in person? Was there something that we could change to make it more accessible for everybody? Or maybe they're not going to come physically ever, and that's fine too. It could be for accessibility reasons, distance. We've hired a couple people who aren't local to Saskatoon. We still want them as part of the Peter Lucas team, and so making those hybrid events really makes it so that as we move forward, they're not getting left behind.
Great, Keira. So what are we doing with all of this information that we've learned? We've talked to our people and we've gathered all of the information. We've recognized that we love social events. We know that we have the ability to produce events or to include people in a variety of different ways, whether it be in person or virtually. But what's the actual work that we're doing behind this, that we know that this is working? So this is our employee experience map that we have created. This has come largely from all of that feedback that we were going out and collecting, and when we were actually speaking to our employees. Another one of those questions that we were asking people is, what did you wish you knew before your first day? This largely helped create this map, because we aren't the ones that are going out to client sites, and so what we don't know until they tell us. So what we've done is we've created this map. This is our outward facing version. We also have a version that's faces internally, and it is a map for us as a leadership team and all of the steps that we have to accomplish to make this plan successful. The best part about this plan is that, like Keira said, it's not all my responsibility. This is a team effort. Keira owns a part of this. The rest of our leadership team owns a part of this. We have what we've put in place called Peter Lucas Buddies, which is a key person at each site, that their job is to welcome new employees as they come in, and they own a piece of this. And so this really is a collaborative effort to keep everybody moving, so that when they hit that 12 weeks, they are set up for success, not only set up for success for themselves, but now they become owners of this process also, and they get to help new employees that come in behind them. And so it is a really great program that's been helping our staff. After the 12-week program, what we hope happens is that we've learned enough about each individual as they're moving through, and at each stage gate, that we can now develop a custom engagement plan for each individual. And so we know if they're comfortable coming into the office or if they prefer to work from home. We know, how they like to receive feedback. We know their strengths, we know their values, and we know what motivates them. And so customizing a plan or tailoring it to them helps them have the best experience that they can have while they're working with us. And it really helps us to achieve our mission of ensuring that all of our people feel welcomed, known, included, connected, and supported. So, man, we're just flying through these slides today. We are going to get creative. So everybody needs to find their chat box if they have not found it already.
Or else it's just going to be Jen and Caitlin and us playing this activity.
And so what we're going to do is we are going to pop a topic up on the screen. And this is going to be a 3-minute exercise. This is nothing new. We did not come up with this. This is just a tried and true ideation exercise. So we're going to pop an idea or a topic up on the screen. And we have 3 minutes where we want you to give us as many ideas as you can to contribute to that topic. These do not have to be good ideas. These just need to be ideas. The mission here is to come up with as many as possible. So if everybody's ready, we want to know how to attract or retain more women in non-traditional roles. Non-traditional roles being man's work, just those positions that you don't typically see women in. And so, and go. Cloning, yes.
Perfect.
That's a good start.
Ideas.
Okay, we want to see if we can get like 100 ideas. So everybody go.
Representation in recruitment and management. And even if your ideas, as they're coming to you, you're seeing other people type them, feel free to throw yours in anyway. The idea is as many as you can, as fast as you can. Flexible
Yeah.
schedules, absolutely. Yeah, we've got WESC presentations. That's another way, absolutely.
Let's
Come on,
talk
we've got-
about how do we go and find people? Visibility early on, yeah, in life and in school presentations.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got 8 participants and we're hearing from 2. I'm sure our hosts have some ideas. Stephanie, you with us?
We prepared for this to get real awkward, so we're gonna wait this out.
And even when you do these in person, you wait for it. Yeah, flexibility with work from home, absolutely, Stephanie. We've got about a minute left. So if you've got your secret ideas in your heart, just let them out, even if they sound like bad ideas. The wilder, the better. Let's hear them. Come on, somebody give us at least one equitable pay. See, that's not a wild one, but yes, come on, let's something
I'll
just
throw one in.
insane.
I'll throw one in. How about site tours?
Yeah, absolutely. Mentorship from women leaders. Wildly equitable pay. Thank you, Brandon. We've got 10 seconds remaining. If you've got one more, hear it. And that's it. That's time.
That is time. All right. So how this usually works is usually when you're doing these ideation exercises is you will see really fast. There's a couple of quick ideas that come off the top of our heads. And I saw, I think it was Brandon that jumped in with a couple right off the top of his head. So that's great. And those are usually those are like the common or most obvious ideas that you see jumping out right in the beginning. We definitely experience the lull afterwards where it's like, oh, I said all the things. Now we've said all the things, so that must be it. I have no ideas. And then a little bit towards the end, we started seeing another jump again where Stephanie and Brandon just started, going back and forth and coming in with a few more ideas. That is usually where you'll see that strike of genius pop out. Someone will say something like wildly equitable pay. Well, what does wildly equitable pay mean exactly? And so you take those wild ideas that seem impossible and make them possible. Sort them out. What are the roadblocks? What are the things that are preventing you from making that possible? We did this exercise when we were last year when we were trying to figure out how we could engage with staff. So our question or our topic was, how do we, what is the best team building activity or event that we could have? What could we do that would be awesome team building? And one of the ideas that was thrown out was a group trip. Well, last February, that was impossible. We couldn't travel solo, never mind as a group. And so it seemed like a very impossible idea. Well, we started putting, we already had our tracking devices that linked us all up for our different wellness challenges that we were doing. And so we created a game where we took a month and we collectively walked the distance from Saskatoon to Puerto Vallarta. That is 4,220 kilometers for anybody who wanted to know how far it is to walk there. We collectively walked over the course of a month. We had updates. We cheered each other on, and who were our really big steppers, who had, who were reaching their personal bests, celebrating those little milestones and those wins. And we did end up making it all the way to Puerto Vallarta, I think actually with just 2 days to spare before the deadline. And we finished off with a virtual vacation. Where it was, I don't know if everybody remembers during COVID when we had those ninjas that people, it was like a game of ding dong ditch where you'd run and leave presents on people's doorsteps. And that's essentially, we had a Peter Lucas version of the ninja game where I ran around dropping off gift packages on everybody's doorstep. So everybody had, a Mexican themed package to help celebrate our vacation. And was it the same as all going on vacation together? No, but we all had a lot of fun. It brought us together as a team. And, this year we're running it again, but in a hybrid fashion. And so it's, it's stuff like that you can keep changing it and adapting it, use your feedback that you receive from your people, and you can't lose.
So thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for participating, especially. Big shout out to everyone who participated in the chat. That really makes this a lot more fun for us. We would love to hear your feedback, how you're connecting with your teams, ideas. Maybe you had a big wild idea that you're like, no, it's going to sound dumb. No dumb ideas. If it comes to other ways to get more women entertained in non-traditional roles, send them our way. You've got our email addresses here. You can find us on LinkedIn.
I'll be at Sips and Suppliers tomorrow evening in Regina. Please come and say hello.
Yeah, and if you've got any questions, feel free to drop them either in the Q&A or in the chat. Either is fine.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on both. But if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask away.
Or reach out after. It's totally fine.
Doesn't look like there's any question. Oh, we have a question.
Oh, no, it's not. It's not a question. It's an idea. This is a great idea. Jennifer said, joined a bit late. An idea for recruitment of women to non-traditional roles is to target their partners and support systems of these women and help merge their ideas, their goals to their already existing multiple roles, because women take on so many roles. How to kind of bring that in. That's a great idea. Thank you so much.
Jennifer?
Awesome. So again, if anybody has any questions afterwards, feel free to reach out to Leah or Keira, and I'm sure they'd be happy to connect with you and discuss. I just want to say thank you so much, Keira and Leah, for the super informative presentation, and thanks to everybody that joined us today. Just as a reminder, you will be able to view the webinar on demand on our website by the end of the day, and you will be getting that email tomorrow with the link as well. Our next webinar is the 3 L's of improving business operations, and that will be on May 11th. If you haven't already registered, you can do so on our website, wesk.ca/events. Thanks again, everybody, and have a great rest of your afternoon. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.